I'm loving you fearlessly. I want to be fearless. I'm loving you fearlessly. I want to be fearless. I want to be fearless. I want to be fearless. I'm loving you fearlessly. I want to be fearless. I'm loving you fearlessly. I want to be fearless. I'm loving you fearlessly. I want to be fearless. I'm loving you fearlessly.
All right. I think we're there. We are here. And I'm gonna be honest with you. For the first time, we stopped. And I don't feel good about it. I want to start off with transparency because I said, I'm going to do this and not stop so everyone can see the imperfect nature of us all, of this movement, of me as a person. So I want to apologize to you because we started this and there were so many issues that I let it get to me like we all have done, and I stopped. And it wasn't for vanity, but I really don't want anyone to check out of listening to any of these hours because of my lack of ability to communicate the truth and the love that I feel has, and I know has founded this 8 hours to choose, but even deeper than that, this Mission1Race vision to abolish inequality and more. We're going to simplify it to that for now. And as you dig deeper, you're going to see a lot more, but that's what we're about. There's not a propaganda. There's not an angle. There's not a pro anything. If anything, we're pro humanity and oneness. So this 8 hours to choose, it's kind of self-explanatory, but not really. We're saying 8 days, starting from the birthday that was actually the 244th year of the United States of America, can turn into a marker by which we collectively realize that there's not some force or an outside entity that could change the United States, nor is it static. We collectively, as humanity, 300 million plus of us, can make a decision tomorrow, or AKA on the 4th, to say we're going to choose to be we the people, and yes, it was a play on words, of the United States of love. And that's why you see hate crossed out. I'm not really asking, I'm asking a question, but more proclaiming, let's go there, right? And it starts with ourselves. So the way it marries with Mission1Race is this: our journey is a journey for that reason, because none of us have arrived towards oneness. So what we're doing is saying, let's share over these 8 days the principles by which our curriculum, our content, our collaborations, right, our communities that we're setting up. Yes, these communities of folks looking for a safe space and place to walk in maybe some new convictions or what's already been there. If you've experienced the beauty of diversity, inclusion, and oneness in your life and sharing that with others, but folks that maybe not have had the exposure, does that make them a bad person? No. This journey is for anyone on any stage of the journey, any ethnicity, any identity, right? Any vocation, any ability or lack thereof. That's the whole point. Past decisions, future decisions, and people of faith, I come to you in a special place knowing that if anyone knows there needs to be forgiveness and welcomeness and all of that, I'm making up words, just deal with it. That'll happen more. Like welcomeness, is that a word? It's not the first one or the last one I'll make up. But to get the point across, that's what we're walking through. So when you see hour one, it's actually hour 3, day 3. We started this with understand and the humility in that. Then we went to from understanding allows us to be able to actually forgive. And that got heavy. We had some moments because it's a little different than personal relationship forgiveness, but it's the same because the danger in blaming an entire group of people based on our past experiences, negative and or positive, really, even making that assumptions that everyone of any sort of background or gender is all for you, all against you, or all or like this, any prejudices, profiling, that's all wrong. But also the danger is in the fact that getting caught up in any one of those areas is dangerous because the score is hard to keep track of. Forgiveness wipes the slate. The tough part is it allows us to say we give up the right to say I want vengeance, I want restitution for that, and I'm going to give it into God's hands, and I'm going to move forward and be free from that. And now we're at the place where we can say, now maybe we can start to see each other as human beings, and that's where the relate begins to happen. Right? So Mission 1 Race was founded. You're going to hear throughout this hour. So I'm not going to dive deeply into it right now. We've already talked about it. If you haven't seen hour 2 or hour 1, I would say go back and look at those. Those will give you some backgrounds, but I want to set up this first video that we're going to share. Right? Our agenda is going to be looking at the video called The Package, the beginning of Mission 1 Race, and then going into the purpose statement of this movement and really grounding ourselves in some unity as we look at the definition of relate and maybe the context of it and things of that sort, right? And roll into a time of really discussion and then landing the plane in some actionable items that could allow you to walk out in a better posture to relate to our fellow human beings. Does that make sense? If not, it will prayerfully by the end of this. Okay. So we're all getting there. No one have this in your mind. No one has arrived. Listen, if people had the secret weapon, had arrived and they haven't shared it, shame on them, because we all know it's still tough out there and we're still judging each other and treating each other with not the value and the quality we should. So I'm going to go ahead and share out with you. Yep. And this is called The Package. It's about 7 minutes. Don't check out because I want to speak to some of it when we come back. So go ahead and comment, do whatever you have to do in this time, but I'm going to share out here. And this is a part of, again, hour 3 of day 3 of 8 hours to choose, presented by Mission1Race. I appreciate you all. God bless. Oh, you might want to hold it there because I think that's it, dude. Wait. You gotta. You're gonna put it down there. That's totally it. That has to be it. This is what happens when you're at home, RJ. Soccer injury. Put the package in front of your face. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. We're about to record for the first time, and I sent my son, my namesake, Richard John Rutherford #2, to get the mail. I just thought, okay, go check. I've got a message from the office in our apartment building that there was a package. And I thought to myself, jokingly, what if that, ironically, the day we decide to, start to finally record, what if that is the actual official paperwork for Mission1Race? I thought that'd be funny, and I think it might be. He's coming.
We got, this little EPS background. We got a whole bunch of boxes here and letters.
All right. so what we got here? So these letters won't be it, I don't think. Could you handle this? I think this deal right here is it. You look through that if you see any like government type documentation. But this is what piques my interest. Mission1Race, Richard Relaford. I wonder what this is in reference to. It could be the deal. And as you can see, this is like sealed. This is real. This is not Hollywood action. Well, kind of. It's not been tricky. No. What we just got together and said, hey, you just set up to record here at the house. Unreal, man. When stuff like this happens, Patrick, when stuff like this happens, it's just like, come on. You can't beat this, man. You can't, come on. It's been such a tough week. It's been such a tough journey already, and just barely getting into the training, but just getting the organization going. Seeing that makes me want to cry. You know, you hear from God and you feel something in your heart and you say, I'm gonna walk forward, and you have no idea what it can, how to do it or how to approach it or what to do. And then, yeah, I think this is it, man. Yeah, this is the official documentation. Little commercial for you know who. Who I used to do it. Richard John Relaford, Mission1Race. Thank you for ordering your nonprofit incorporation from LegalZoom. Your corporation documents are enclosed in this package. Your nonprofit corporation is now active. It's official. It's incorporated. Mission1Race was an idea, a concept. When I say Mission1Race, it's like for all people. Understanding that sex, sexuality, race, background, country, able, disabled, all those different things. None of that means we're not equal. All of it, we're equal. So what Mission1Race is inviting people into a mission of saying, how would we live? How would we make choices if we didn't see ourselves as compartmentalized and us and them and us? What would happen if we all went to sleep, we're like knocked out, and then almost had an amnesia, social amnesia, purposeful social amnesia, and we wake up and I see someone. So first of all, I didn't think about this. If we've not looked into a mirror yet, we don't even know what our reflection is, right? That's first of all. So when we're seeing people, we don't know if we're looking at ourselves or not. We don't know if we're identical or whatever. So now our approach to them is going to be fresh and new. It's going to be equal. It's going to be curious maybe, but there's no bias. There is no bias. Bias is developed. Inequality is developed. Racism is developed. That's the extreme of it. Sexism is developed. All of that. So the next part becomes all of the pre-programming of looking at a Latin person, Chinese person, Black person, white person, with preconceived notions or profiles. All that's gone. That's the utopian version of Mission1Race. It's not saying that we don't celebrate all the variety, because at some point you'll start to see, oh, there's different features there, or there's different, that's a slightly different food, or that's slightly different, those ethnicities and those, that's fun, that's variety. So it's not throwing those out. It's not about being colorblind. You still will see color, but those colors won't invoke emotions. That's the most simplistic way to say it.
So I need a definition of Mission1Race.
I'm gonna read it because I had to put it on here to submit it. It forced me to be thorough, so I'm gonna read it. So I can say what the legal documents is gonna say. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
This specific purpose of This corporation is to use education, advocacy, as well as provide direct and indirect services to reach those negatively affected by inequality. Our movement is founded on the truth that we are equal, one humanity. Our mission is to shape the hearts and minds of the world. Not bad. I wrote that. Is that okay, Patrick? It's so hard for me to keep. That was like 2 sentences. That is Mission1Race. So, all my childhood, all the positive and negative events of it, some of them we shared here, we're gonna share more as we go into it, but all in the light of just learning. And maybe to build some common ground, and maybe you've been through something. We will also go talk with people, meet them, share, but it will be sharing and highlighting positive. Oh, you might want to hold it there, because I think that's it, dude.
Wait, okay.
You gotta, you're gonna put it down there. That's totally it. That has to be it.
Do I need to be mobile? Hang on one second.
This is what happens when you're at home, RJ. Look, soccer injury. Put the package in front of your face. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. We're about to record for the first time, and I sent my son, my namesake, Richard John Relaford #2, to get the mail. I just thought, okay, go check. I've got a message from the office in our apartment building that there was a package. And I thought to myself, jokingly, what if that, ironically, the day we decide to, start to finally record, what if that is the So, hello. So I appreciate you all. Obviously, whoops #2, but that's all right. You get the point. That beginning was so good that why not watch it again? Before we even move into this purpose statement, I want you to know something. Patrick and I had a moment, AKA I call him Patches O'Houlihan. If you've not seen the movie Dodgeball, that's a reference. There's many reasons why I call him that. But you saw a cultural teaching moment where we began to relate to each other a little bit better when I told Patches this. Now, any of my people of color, of any blend of darker brown skin or black, right? You would notice something in that video. I was ashy. So we're gonna. This subject doesn't always, meaning ethnicity and so forth, doesn't always have to be heavy and so forth. But there's fun moments of truth. So I said to Patrick, your job, if you're ever recording someone again, the person of color, and you see my lips that ashy, you gotta cut. Just cut. There's no explanation needed. Your lips are ashy. Or my knuckles. Did you guys see my knuckles? It looked like I was punching flour bags or concrete. Not acceptable. And he grew from that moment. And to this day, he's still working, doing it in film and documentaries and so forth. And I think he let people know that he's now woke to the concept of ashy. Perfect moment. That's our purpose. Our purpose is moments like that, but I'm going to read it. You saw the moment in the video, and you saw that started in 2018. November. I mean, not the moment I really felt caught into it, but that really walking towards it and launching into things I did not know about and I still don't know about was a part of the journey. And that purpose statement that was read is still the purpose statement, unofficial documentation, but again, through the collaboration of our multi-generational, ethnic, gender, identity, vocation, all these variety we already have on our board, on our council, on our volunteers. And again, if that's something that's resonating in your heart, like I'm telling you, I'm not going to say we have an open door policy, but we definitely have an open door policy in terms of volunteering and being involved and being plugged in somewhere. We absolutely have somewhere for you to serve. And if your skills and your background and passion line up right with your competence, with your character, with your skills and capacity and all that good stuff, then there likely is a place that you could lead lead out and help with this moment. But the point was that feedback and that input and that collaboration birthed a more beautiful purpose statement than I could have ever made solo. And I'm just being honest about it. So let's read it. Mission1Race's purpose is to change one heart, one mind, and one soul at a time, developing and cultivating communities. Just that alone would be enough, right? But we're going to develop and cultivate, sharing inspired oneness curriculum happening as we speak, and catalyzing experiences. Cannot wait for the journey 2020. You're going to hear more about that. We encourage conversations that afford educational engagement. We provide services and resources to reach those negatively affected by inequality and injustice. We know that's the truth of it. We know that this is not just a conversation of theoretical, right? Of just a kumbaya, kind of almost just a love fest. There's systemic things we have to address, and we align with folks that that's their specialty in terms of like giving resources to it. So just so you know, we're in the midst of that, but we know our place in this journey, right? We know our place in this work. Arm those seeking knowledge and enlighten those in the dark. So much in that statement. We don't view anyone as out. We just do think that there's some folks that have blinders that maybe we've had before that have disqualified human beings created with value. And for some reason they say, now that's your view, or that's your perspective, or that's what you've been through, or whatever, whether it's a mistake or not, or something they've been, God help us, something they've been born, right? As, I mean, like racism, that's why racism is so intrinsically an issue and so confusing for me, because we all just showed up, right? I don't remember anyone having a conversation with God that said, okay, I want to be a female. I want to be from Colombia, right? And if it's possible, I want these resources or that lack thereof, or whatever case may be. No. Abilities, I want to have this disability or that. There's so many things that we have to realize that we were born here, and only God someday will explain and unravel exactly what was going on. But our job is simple: to love. And one person at a time that struggles in that maybe be in the dark in that, that's what we consider it, to bring some light, not judgment as well. Judging someone that's judging, watch that, also doesn't help. Let's mull over that later. Last statement: our movement is founded on the truth that we are all uniquely the same. We understand that all are equal and a part of one human race. Let's unpack that a little bit more as I share into some what we do believe and don't believe statements and leaning in here. And this is from our messaging guide, which is also our branding guide. And we've had so much talent so into and bless this movement. People have more to give, have less to give, but either way, I look at each thumbprint and each fingerprint on it, and I get excited, and I want to share as much as possible those moments. So shout out to Kyung Yoon, who helped in huge ways in terms of our look and our feel and our messaging and so forth, in developing this messaging guide, taking just notes and random things that we've talked about. And this is just this is a few pages out of it. And it just simplifies and directs and purposefully talks about who we are, right? And we're going to unpack this over these days as well too. What we talk about, how we talk about what we believe. We are uniquely the same. I'm not going to dig into that more. You're going to hear that consistently. That is, if there's any foundational statement, is that entire statement: we are uniquely the same. And let that potential wording contradiction or like struggle between uniqueness and sameness happen within us all. That's a good tension, right? That's just like saying everyone's special, but then there's 8 billion of us. That's something that only supernaturally we can understand on the next level. How can we all be special, but there be 8 billion of us? It's true though. Everyone gets to love. That one's dangerous for a lot of folks. Even folks that claim they love it, because where are your circles drawn? If everyone gets to love, everyone gets to love. Like there's not, I'm just going to be real as a person of faith. There's not a verse that I've read of is not that person gets it. Because really the extreme is this: love your enemy. We're going to get to that later in number 7. day 7, hour 7. Next fundamental belief. We believe, this might sound small, but walk with me. We believe we can transform the world together. So that in itself has to be unpacked. We actually believe that we can impact. So when you come out and go, well, this is just the way of the world, there's just people, whether it's around this subject or whether it's around cancer or whether it's around extreme poverty, whether it's around depression or whether it's around whatever systemic issues that say, hey, just the world is what it is, accept it, put your head in the sand and just look out for yours. And then there's people that say, no, I want to leave potentially this place in a better place in whatever sphere of influence I have. That's a fundamental belief of Mission1Race. We can transform the world, but watch this together. I had to learn that myself. I was oftentimes, without knowing it, because of trust or insecurity, not inviting everyone into it. So I was trying to do what's right? Even the title, Man on the Mission, the Search for Oneness. Guess what the man on the mission for the Search for Oneness found out is? You better get a team because you could be on the mission and you're going to fall short. And that's what happened. Together, but what's the purpose? We can transform the world together for love, with love. Can seem like a contradiction. We're changing it for love, with love. There's nothing more powerful than love. Nothing. One heart, mine, yours, that one person, that one conversation. So we love when there are thousands are watching. We love when there's hundreds watching, but we'll do it with one person. I would have this conversation. If there's one person viewing now, all of this effort was worth it. I mean it. One mind. We do understand there's some brainwashing that's happened in all of us, is what I'm saying, whether we admit it or not, through images, through media, through news, through experiences, through parenting, that we bring from our childhood, that we then grow up and go, wow, maybe that's not the world. Maybe that's not that person. And then one soul at a time. I unapologetically say there is a component of this that's our emotions, our minds, but also our beings. Right? Whether you call it energy or whatever you want to talk about, there's a being part of this that has to be transformed as well. Last but not least, very important on this statement, and then I'll more quickly hit the 4 not beliefs, just to differentiate. So you really say, what is this movement about? We seek the hearts of the biased. We're not on a witch hunt, if you will, to say I heard that word, put them on blast, tar and feather them, throw them out. Because watch this. Isn't that the same problem with the person and what they're potentially doing when they're being biased? So now if you excommunicate, if you will, the person with the bias or believing in the darkness, then we actually perpetuate the problem. So we seek the hearts of the bias, not in attack, but in relationship. You're invited. Next slide. So here is quickly, these are some cornerstone areas where I see there's a misconception, or there are seasons for some of these things, but there's a next dimension of them. And you're going to see what I'm talking about very quickly. Let's just read through them together. And then we're going to change speeds and get into some of the actual word for today. But I think it's very important to be like, who is this person and who is this movement that's speaking on this touchy subject matter? How we walk in it? Let me tell you how we walk in it and try to stay away from error the most we can, if you will. We try to stay in love. Try to ask ourselves, is this loving? This is why we don't believe in colorblind. We don't believe in colorblind. Watch. Culture and color and diversity and uniqueness are not the problem. We assume colorblindness. When we assume colorblindness as a productive means to reconciliation, we cannot fully witness, celebrate, and enjoy the complex beauty represented in our difference. Colorblindness, if you've been a part of it, I'm not mad. No one's mad at you, but let's upgrade and say, I want to see the color, celebrate all of us in the image and likeness of our creator and all this beautiful nuances. That's the fun stuff. So what we're actually submitting to folks is not just a mandate of saying like, get your diversity, man, you better wake up. We're actually saying you're missing out. Join the party. Join the movement of the revival of folks that are saying, wait a second. Yeah, I don't understand that. I don't get it, but maybe I can get it. And even if I'm not 100% with it, like, man, do your thing. I see your value. I'm going to do it this way. We're cool. Next one. We don't believe in only highlighting diversity. That might hit some people. There's folks that invested their life in this. I worked in corporate America as well as in education, like I said, in entertainment and athletics in terms of football. And I hear a lot about diversity. Here we go. We don't believe in only highlighting diversity. While our unique differences, mostly extrinsic, must be honored, we can't concentrate on diversity alone. This leads to further division, and we're not going after oneness. Do you hear what I'm saying there? In that diversity session, when you get done pointing out the 0.1%, because 99.9%, even genetically now, as they do new tests that aren't biased, because there's scientists in the past, even folks preaching in the past, false truths about how we're intrinsically, like I said, just made different capacity and all that stuff. Not real, not true, even genetically. And watch that. So we have to land the plane in sameness. Let's celebrate the nuances and diversity and all that stuff. But majority of us as human beings are the same. I mean that. Again, don't confuse what I'm saying here. Not the same in terms of experience or education or vocation, all that, but the intrinsic qualities of us. Next, we don't believe that tolerance is enough. Again, if tolerance is your first step, I'm not dogging you, but merely tolerating humanity, which is beautifully, uniquely, and wonderfully made, lacks the real love and true compassion. We must move beyond tolerance and acceptance towards reverence of all humanity. Let's not tolerate a divine creation. Let's have a moment of appreciation for that person. We don't believe in assimilation. So again, you might hear Mission1Race. This may be the one I should have started with. You say, man, this man's trying to make a master race. I'm proud to be this and that. I am too. I'm thankful because God intentionally brought me here for whatever reason as a Black male in America, in a country with a torn past around it that came with a lot of struggles that I would say, man, why? But I wouldn't change it. And you shouldn't be seeking to change yours. As a female in a world that subjects females so consistently and so horribly in the sex trafficking internationally, more people in slavery now than ever. You could ask yourself, why would I be a female in this male, almost dominant on paper, right, and in position world? But it was for a reason. Almost a calling, if you will. That's a whole nother conversation, to be what we're to be in this. So we don't want to assimilate. Celebration of diversity is foundational to the expansion and varied expressions of God's love. Let us all take the attributes of all people and cultures, because it leads to better relationships, organizations, and life as a whole. Next slide. This is perfect timing, you guys. So this is the actual curriculum. She said all of that, we've been 30 minutes in, and this is what I actually wanted to tell you. If you've ever seen me speak before, long introduction, short message. It's just the pattern. It's just how I flow. Long introduction, short message, because I believe that my heart is at a place that we actually can dig into the matter at hand. So day 3, hour 3, just reviewing with you, we did understand, forgive. Now let's usher in relate, which obviously is a root word to relation and so forth. Let's look at I'm gonna have a verse for you that I'm gonna hit second. I want to hit this definition, and we're gonna just marinate in this place for a bit and have a little bit of a discussion around it as well, if you don't mind. So watch this. Relate, the dictionary version of it. To make or show a connection between. To relate, to feel sympathy with, identify with. If we thought forgiveness was tough, but if we manage that and we're in this place where we don't just say, okay, I can see the fact that they're a human being, I would submit to you that's not enough. Apathy is what's tearing us apart in a lot of ways. So a lack of care and or action. And this is saying when you relate, you can sympathize. And guess what actually happens? I would even submit that empathy begins to happen. And we know the difference there. Sympathy is I've never directly been a part of that. Empathy says I have been a part of it, and therefore I can feel it even more. And even if you're not that specific ethnicity, gender, race, lifestyle, or have that background, there's a human connection that happens when we relate that then shifts and rewires our hearts. And then when you can identify with it, man, I had a moment yesterday, you saw in that hour, where I just was able to identify with that father and his daughter. That I'm able to identify with a person that is hated because of their expression of their affection. That a person is walked by and viewed as a bump in the road when they get to a certain age. Move out of the way, old person. We're going there. See, because Mission 1 Race is not just racial reconciliation, it's human reconciliation. And we're going to go there with the slide that we hit next. But I want us to find out there's a place to relate to every single human on this earth and make sure that our hearts are checking in line with them. And that connection, which is actually expanded upon when we get to day 6. We're going to talk about that, or day 5. I got my hours are mixed up. You're going to see what I'm talking about. But make a show a connection. Luke 6:31 says, treat others the same way you want them to treat you. You don't even listen. I'm not assuming a majority of you watching this may be Christian. It's a high probability. We have like 350 million people here. I think the studies have shown, or census has shown, that we got close to 140 million folks that claim Christianity. And I'm gonna say it just like that, because claiming it and walking it and being loving the way Christ actually did is very different things. Religion and relationship are very different things. But we all can understand this, right? This is almost like the golden rule, right? We take some of these things out of context and like, okay, it's relatable and understandable. Look what this verse is saying. Treat others the same way you want them to treat you. Watch this. No one watching this, including myself, has walked a life without offending someone, without making a mistake, without falling short, without being just a jerk, without, I'm just being right, about judging someone, all of these different things. I don't know what else to say. And guess what we all want? We want a second chance. We want a third chance. We want a fourth chance, a fifth chance. We want a chance to say, I can change. You ever be frustrated with someone saying, like, I can actually change? So this conversation is not just about the folks, again, that we're in the dark right now, that we're seeing in our society, that's saying, I have done something. I'm not going to share the person's name, but someone went public once and said, I actually had a moment where something happened to me or my mother, and I went out and was looking for people that looked like that person, that reminded me of them. Watch this, and was actually physically thinking about doing something to them because my mind went to a weird place, and I thought all people like that need to pay because of what they did to my mother. And he shared it. I'm not even going to say the name. But he said, I didn't. I caught myself. Instead of that being a moment of like, wow, of introspection and like self-evaluation, saying, have I done that too? I bet all of it. Listen, I have. Whether it's a gender comment, all women are like, whether it's a this group of people, they can't do this. It's dangerous. Joke setting in the midst of relationship, maybe tolerable, or even like if we're laughing together, fine. But when it's concrete like that, so much so that our mind gets blocked and we go out and we forget that we want to be treated with forgiveness. We want to be treated with value, right? What do you want to be treated? You want value, you want respect, you want to have a second chance. You want to be, to just project that onto how I am challenging you potentially to relate to others. I think that's the conclusion of, because if you look at relation, if you look at some of the components of it, watch this. An antonym of relation, it's even hard to find. If relate, they say the antonym of relate is unrelated. Okay, it's kind of weak, but I'll say maybe it's distance, indifference, denial, even judgment. Isn't that almost the opposite? So not only can I not relate to you, I cannot believe that's how you eat. I can't believe that's the food you eat. I can't believe that's like your lifestyle. I can't believe, like, it's just almost like aboveness. It's a lack of humility in a place. Relating, you almost can't have it either without some form of humility. Saying, let me actually seek to understand. And then from there may be some relation in place. If you look at the context of it, if we create space to not prejudge, by the way, unpack that word prejudice, prejudge, to prejudge or have prejudice, relation can help push that out. And then from this relating, you're going to find yourself having relationships with people, which we will help do in our one communities. We're going to talk about what you'll find yourself in relationship. And once that happens, that's the sweet spot. Once, I'm telling you, once you have the first friendship or more, I don't know, once you have that, you can't even go back because your mind's not going to let you. You're going to be sitting there hearing a comment about people in some particular group. And you're like, wait a second. Doris isn't like that. I'm just picking names. Clinton's not like that. Clifton's not like that. Jackie's not like that. Donovan's not like that. And you're going to be like, I have a relationship that contradicts this assumption, right? This hate, this sexism, this racism, this phobia, whatever it is, or a person that's had a background that contradicts that. So therefore I have to choose a different route. Cool. So watch this. I want to share the document I talked about, the false degrees of separation, and we're going to expand on this. And again, I'm going to be talking and landing the plane here soon. I'm going to share one more video with you that's going to be important. So stay with me. Okay. You see me sweating. I'm working here with you because I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm really trying to like say, what if we walked out in this relate topic? What would this country look like? I would love to see more people coming up saying, you know what? I see the connection there. Don't rush through this. This is what I call, and you're like, there's a lot on the screen. This is my mind. And by the way, this is the simplified version of my mind. And my team was like, nah, that's too much on the slide. False degrees of separation. Even listen to that name, the false degrees of separation, because we are uniquely the same. If you look at these 12 categories, you can call it exhaustive. You might say, hey, there's another category. You might not agree with that category, but nonetheless, the concept I think we can both land the plane in is that these are false degrees of separation. And the nerd in me is like, wait a second, there's 12 categories of false degrees of separation by 30 degrees. So actually, if we take it all the degrees of separation, we end up with 360 degrees. So all of the separations that are false bring us back to the same point. Anyway, maybe you didn't follow that. 360 degrees is a circle. So if you start with all that, you go through the whole circle, you come back, uniquely the same, still wins. That's why in the middle, we're uniquely the same because every human. So you're going to see 4 sections here, and we're going to unpack one of them. I'm just randomly selecting. We're going to go into the one that's prevalent right now, that's the most prominent in news and so forth. That section you see highlighted in yellow shades: ethnicity, gender, and age. They're related. Watch this. You were born with them. No one chose what year you were brought into this country or this world, excuse me. No one chose initially their gender or ethnicity. So I think the good place in starting with these false degrees of separation here, right? A total of 45 degrees right there if you look at it, right? Not 45, 90 degrees. Excuse me, bad math. 90 degrees. Don't take my engineering degree away from me. You can't anyway. Age. And I know we all have to watch it, like the young folks. You're saying Rich Rail, you're lying. I don't discriminate. I don't discriminate versus young folks. The whole generation's lost. They're selfish. They're just in their phones. There's nothing they can do. We're absolutely judges. So soon we see a young person, like, we know you have no goals. We know you have no focus. We know you're on Instagram all day. All that sounds small, but that is a false degree of separation. Gender, right? Men are like this. All women are like, I'm telling you, I had a moment in my life where absolutely not only gender, but gender and ethnicity specific. There were certain categories and assumptions I was making that I had to check. And then specifically ethnicity. What do you even do in this ethnicity slice here where there's like groups, there's groups of ethnic, multi-ethnic culturalisms that are happening that we're not even gonna be able to keep track technically, because what do you even do? That in itself is confusing. Like if you identify white, identify black, African American, identify Mexican, Hispanic, but what about if you're black and Korean, white and Hispanic. That's why it's dangerous with us putting all of our value, not being ashamed of it, in any of these one groups. The next path is actually that we are ethnically diverse and beautiful and so forth, but land a plane that we are one human race. Your gender, regardless of your gender, regardless of when you came to this planet, regardless of the shade of your skin, the features on your face, some cultural specifics of food and so, like, I would submit this as well. As we get off of this document, we're going to continue to unpack this. Let's challenge ourselves to find a place of relation to someone completely in a different generation than us, a gender. And yes, in our country right now, on this day 3, hour 3, ethnicity for sure. Definitely ethnicity. So here's the thing. I want you to respond a bit. I mean, there's the same prompts as yesterday, or as the previous 2 hours, and I'm kind of going to do a time check right now. These 2 hours of these prompts around relating, right? And you're listening, you're taking a moment. I want you to look at, okay, what is it? What would it look like to, or what area are you seeking possibly for somebody not to understand, but to relate to you? Where you feel like, man, people can't relate to me. Or someone or some area where you are honest that you become apathetic about, or you just like, whatever, that's someone else's problem, that you might need to say, or want to, or benefit from saying, I want to try to relate. So understanding is a head thing. We have to do it, but then relates help my heart to be more tender towards what's going on there. I don't need to name specific things. Because we all know what I'm talking about. We've been polarized by news and political views and policies. This all or none it concerns me. Why can't I be like, that part of that I get, and something needs to be said, but doing it that way or to that extreme, you can do that, is the point. And we got to stop doing this. It's just this black and white, if you will, of saying, wow, that part resonates with me, that doesn't, and that's fine. And that space in between, right, is the nuance that we need moving forward in this country, in this world, of saying, like, I can relate. I see the shades of that. I still would make a different decision, but I get it. Does that make sense? So that's what we're discussing right now. You're writing it down possibly on paper, like seeking folks to relate to you in that area. You've been through something, you made decisions or whatever, or and longing to relate in that area. Maybe you have a specific moment or story. As we build out with our We Are Uniquely the Same podcast and Mission One Purpose podcast, different but related. You know, one of them is a little more bold and leader focused and even faith-based. The other one is saying, hey, let's make it as invitational as possible and share these stories of people doing it right, not just people doing it wrong, right? That's very important. So that's what we're doing now during this period, even while I'm talking, and we're then moving into the action part of this. I like to land it in the last 10 minutes was action-based, specific, and we'll share a quick video, but we're responding to your quotes and comments right now. I really appreciate you guys sticking in there. I know you're feeling it because I'm feeling it, right? You're saying, man, I would rather put it out there. I'd rather make myself vulnerable and available in this space to say that there's another path than to hold back. Okay? I'm pausing. You're not used to it. I'm pausing. I'm not going to talk for like 15 seconds. Write it down. I already said so. Like 5 more seconds. I know some of you guys aren't even looking at the screen. You're saying, like, what happened? Did the signal go out? For the last hour, I've been just hearing his mouth. It's okay. I know how it feels. My family knows how it feels. When I was a young kid, they would just be like, Richard, shut up. And I said, the joke's on y'all, guess what? Acting, speaking, preaching, entertainment, football, maybe not. All I do is get paid to talk. People want me to talk. You guys didn't want me to talk. No, I'm joking. So, okay, here's the action steps. Okay. As we move into the end of this section of truth, we understand that truthfully, it has to start here. So it's so easy in this area to be like, I'm super woke. I relate. I see everybody. I'm so connected to the trees. I'm connected to every human being. Get it. I guarantee you there's some place where you have guarded and you have this disqualification of like, that's too far. That person doesn't get the love. I can't relate to that. I don't see it, whatever the case may be. So let's make sure we always start. I start with Richard John Relaford. I didn't even say my name in this, but yeah, you can just search it up or whatever the case may be. And now let's hit two more tangible items that we will be talking about during our journey to oneness curriculum and our one communities: social change factor and social justice element. And we're hitting those because, again, I know I have those of you saying, just get to it, change the laws, get the systemic issues solved. And yes, there's focus. People have to be purely focused on that. And God bless them. People like Brian Stevenson, like those stories, absolutely. But we want that. And our role in this is I want the hearts with the laws. We know we've had some huge legislation wins around folks that were being fired and misused because of their identity, and that was a win. But I also want the folks that were even thinking that was okay to go, wow, why did I think that way, in the change? So this social change factor, the one we talked about last week, was application, actually applying what we're learning, not just reading those books, now applying. Because we're doing a lot of reading now. A lot of people are like, man, I'm going to get woke. And then the application of it is more tough. It is more difficult. So number three, that was two. Number three in the social change factor for this week is actually advocacy. Now, I'll tell you straight up, we're building that, but our alignment in that space of advocacy, where there's specific lobbyists and causes, like even if you go to mass incarceration, is because of our alignment that we're seeking to support a nonprofit that speaks to issues about, yes, there are targeted campaigns towards minority individuals, that there's an absolute disparity and systemic issue there. And yes, that's not our expertise, but that doesn't mean that we don't care about it. That doesn't mean we're not going to support and give to that. That's what's unique about us. We not only do our curriculum, our work, our events, our experiences, our messages, we support and are looking to align as we're growing with those folks that have specialties in the areas, right? So that's one example. The next one, the social justice element. So you think of the factor, and now you're thinking of the element itself, because it's like, if you think about the factors, like more of like, okay, let's actually, how do we change society with these factors? And we're going to lean through 8 of them each of the days. And the social justice itself is a little bit different, changing versus justice. Number 3, or actually number 2 last week was, actually we have both. I don't remember last week, but this week we have number 3 is respect for others. Doesn't that relate to relate? Respect for others, the social justice element, respect for others. So now here we go. We're landing it in hope. The whole point of this is there is hope. As long as we're alive, one day we will not be. And I want to be that dark guy, but that's what I think about when I go each day. I say, one day I won't be here. What am I leaving behind? Decide. So this is what this section is. You decide to actually say you're going to release and relate to someone from the past or present. So you decide. It's the first step in it. Number 2, decide that I'm actually going to apply, right, and align and potentially start a relationship, or start to plant the seed of a relationship for someone that I previously did not, or thought I could not relate to. Last but not least, decide, right? Decide to actually walk in that respect for others everywhere we go. So this is what I'm going to do in this section. I talked about the launch video. I'm going to share it out right here, right quick. This was the launch video for Mission1Race. So if we're looking at the other alignment, is saying you don't have to do it yourself. There are nonprofits, like shout out to the King Center, the kingcenter.org, for example, that are doing amazing work, that has a 6 elements of nonviolence protests and things like that, that blew my mind. Actually, that was shared with me. Shout out to Eric, someone who just recently joined in and doing Mission1Race, the Journey 2020. It's out there with a nonprofit called Not Forgotten. God bless you, Eric, and I'm looking for our friendship to grow, our relationship and our alignment as nonprofits and as movements and as just people, right? To continue to grow and get to know you, know more about your Native American background, ethnicity, and culture and history. That stuff like that you dropped on me makes my heart swell and grow. And I want everyone to potentially have a thirst for that. So watch this video. This is the long version we tried to share before that kind of, we hope it doesn't crash again, because last time we tried to share it, it crashed on, I think it was on July 4th, but this video is showing the launch of Mission1Race. This video was going out saying, hey, join me on this mission, on this journey, and you're invited. And then we're going to land the plane at the end of this event. Okay. God bless you guys. Talk to you in a second. Hold on.
I'm legit telling you that I don't think any hills on the course are like this, Patrick, so you're just sick.
My name is Richard John Relaford, AKA Rich Rell. I was born in Chicago, raised in Bolingbrook, which is a southwest suburb. We were one of the few black families that moved there at the time. It shouldn't matter, but unfortunately, at times it does matter. I was the youngest boy of 11, a blended family. And there's a lot of frustrations internally, externally, and it vexed my heart, and I was a very angry guy, which in turn made me a pretty good football player. And I got a scholarship to the University of Akron to play D1 football for the Zips and obtain my mechanical polymer engineering degree. I tell you all of that because in those experiences, I've seen the beauty of diversity and inclusion and a wide range of friends and relationships, but I've seen and experienced firsthand the pain and suffering of bias and hate, and it destroys me. My dad grew up in Hope, Arkansas, picking cotton in the 50s, and it blew my mind when he said to me, Richard, you would be a fool to assume that a man is your friend because he's black or your enemy because he's white. Some of the best things that have happened to me by the love and care of some white folks, and some of the worst by the hands of some black folks. You take every man or woman for themselves. We all know there's a problem. Hate and negativity and divisiveness are highlighted with no solution every day on the news and our day-to-day conversations. But I believe there's more of us humans, right, that can look beyond color, ethnicity, sexuality, anxiety, failures, mistakes, all kinds of lacks to see that we are uniquely the same. So I'm inviting you to radically forgive, to heal, to reconcile, and ultimately love recklessly. I'm on a mission, and it all begins with the event, running 250 miles over 6 days, visiting 7 missions up the coast of California to launch this movement of love and to fund the newly created nonprofit, Mission1Race. I do not believe the lie that we are different. And I do believe that we can overcome all the issues that divide us in America and in the world. Mission1Race believes they have the message that can change the world. One mind, one heart, and one soul at a time. We are one human race. It's time we live like it. Let's do this. What was I thinking? 250 miles? It's gotta be a different way. We're always looking for someone else to do it. Martin Luther King Jr. was a man. Mother Teresa was a woman. These are people. Even if you go to the Bible, those are just people. And either you do something or you don't. Either you try or you don't. After we get invited into Mission1Race, there's no easy button. If you don't have love, you missed it. You got nothing.
Hey, family, you ever have a moment? Of course you had a moment. I'm landing the plane here. We're landing on time. Maybe 30 seconds or 45 seconds over, where you would tell yourself, I think of that video. It's gonna be harder than you think. You're gonna be harder than you think. So let's land the plane here in this last 2 minutes. That was the launch video. We are coming back revamped, but again, like I said, it has been difficult, but it's well worth it because you're worth it. This cause is worth it, and this is a life's work where it's not just a reaction. When the smoke clears, when the cameras are off, when people have gone back to some form of normalcy, we'll be here finding ways to bring people together through the movement and the message, through the events and experiences, and through our organizational journey and our curriculum and collaborations. Here's what we do. Here's our 3 points and the 3 call to actions. 3 points. I said it last time, said it the last 3 hours. We are the United States of America, not some other entity. The people collectively making up this country can change the wave and the tide and the current of it. Number 2, we actually have the freedom to choose. That's part of the freedoms. We have the freedom to choose. So my request in this last point is to choose love. And that is an action-based word, to choose mission, meaning purpose, even outside of just ourselves and our circles, and to choose oneness, to challenge and watch how that rocks your life. Here's the 3 CTAs, call to actions. Number 1, recognize the freedom in that freedom, right? To relate and know that you can just change it. Doesn't have to be, I haven't lived in that life. Doesn't matter. Today is today. So relate. Number 2, yes, reach out, mission1race.org or on YouTube. And if you haven't watched it, the video excerpts that you saw are from the Man on a Mission to Search for Oneness. Last but not least, share these 8 hours to choose, this specific hour, and come back and join us tomorrow. We'll be leaning into heal. And let me say this, that'll be the last one where you'll just be hearing my mouth, because that was never the plan. We'll have guests for the last 4. You're going to be excited of a mother of walking this, a police officer teaching this implicit bias, of one of our journey team runners potentially. There's all kinds of options. So I'm going to tell you peace and love from your brother, Richard John Relaford, Rich Rel, Mission1Race. We are uniquely the same. 8 hours to choose. Choose. We are the United States of love, not hate. God bless.